Hi, this is Paul. You might be able to hear the lawnmower outside. That is a 91-year-old member of my church who usually does the lawn with his disabled son, who's been off his meds for weeks, and we can't actually find him right now. So, yeah, I came back to a lot at Livingstone's, but the 91-year-old loves cutting the grass, and so we let him still cut the grass. Grass needs cutting. We buy the lawnmower, he cuts the grass. Anyway, that's the thing in the background. I've got to help my daughter move, so I can't wait to do this video for another time. Seabax, who, it was really wonderful having Seabax with me because he took all kinds of video that I didn't have time to. And it was wonderful, the interviews that he did at ARC. He did a live stream this morning. I didn't have time this morning to do a live stream, but he did a live stream this morning and generated some conversation. And Luke, who's in the car, lower quadrant there, made a really good point sort of at the end that gets into this whole lion culture, fox culture that ARC has prompted and the conversations that are going around. And it's very much connected with Paul Kingsnorth's conversation. It's connected. Jacob a little bit later in the conversation talked a little bit about Gnosticism. It's all connected in terms of how we put the world together and the strange way that Jesus scrambled everything. Now, I just finished my rough draft for Sunday. That'll come out before this, so you can listen to that. But it's all bound up in Christianity and how this works. But Luke said something really important here that I want to play.
You know,
Yeah, I think that obsession with power just comes from recognizing that the centers of power are changing. And so I think you don't have to think about power when you can just take for granted who has the power. But once that dynamic shifts, then it makes you think critically about where does power come from? Where does power flow? Who has the power? How do centers of power change? So I feel like that I think that's why you're seeing that kind of.
So again, Jordan Peterson this has been a constant theme of his as he and ARC continue to try to, push away postmodernity, that it's all about power. And part of the reason that's important for Jordan is where Jordan sort of sits in this modern, postmodern. I think Damon Walter, who has continued to say, Jordan Peterson's very postmodern, but I think Jordan's trying to get beyond postmodernity, and that's where a lot of the IDW characters have looked to when they would say not only are there physical aspects that transcend the modern, postmodern, but there are also archetypal aspects. The way the fundamental relationality that we see in the world suggests that there's more going on than, and of course, how do we define power? There's more going on than just capacity. And often in these conversations, when we talk about power, we're really sort of talking about what the Apostle Paul says with respect to governments, having, like Romans 13, the power of the sword, the power to compel, the power to make things happen either at the cost of someone's life or the threat of someone's life, or just brute force in terms of technology and materiality being able to accomplish something. But that's all happened as we have a greater understanding of many of the technological ways that we have employed to make nature our slave. Nature is our sister. And recently it was in England that someone noted that was from Aquinas. I got it from Lewis, who I'm sure got it from Aquinas. Nature is our sister, that we have enslaved our sister to try to make our sister do our bidding. But of course, within the whole biblical narrative, we are in the middle between God and nature rebels against us as we rebel against God. It's all this way of trying to put the world together in terms of one cohesive whole. And so when Jacob in this live stream complains about Gnosticism. Gnosticism is obviously a way in which nature and humanity are sort of arranged, and you have materiality, which is subject to decay. For that reason, one of the things that the Greeks would say, well, that's clearly by a lesser god, and that which is not subject to decay, let's say something in the world of the forms, that does not decay. So it's a very, very long conversation. And so, we're talking about power in terms of the ability to compel by force or threat or technological manipulation to use the laws of nature to enact outcomes in the physical world that we desire. So we use death in order to compel other agents in the world, and we use physicality and physics to compel other arrangements in the world. But then Luke went on to say something more, and I think very important, something that I did a lot of thinking about when I was in England.
Postmodern obsession with power on both the left and the right. I think they're both noticing the same thing, which, I mean, Christian, you talk about this all the time, how, the internet has collapsed these hierarchies. So, those, let's say mainstream media.
The internet has collapsed hierarchies, yet, wow, Jordan Peterson has fallen so far on my on my list of channels. Jordan just released a message to Elon Musk, and so Jordan struggling to get in touch with Elon.
Hello, everybody. I'm trying this as an experiment in communication, both public and private. There's some things that I would like to draw to Mr. Elon Musk's attention. I interviewed him a while back.
Just in case you don't remember me, Elon, and I thought this is a very corner way of, because one of the things that we discovered is that you can use YouTube like a huge party line, and just as CW sent an open letter, a very nice open letter to David Brooks, Jordan Peterson is using YouTube to send a message to Elon Musk, and I thought, oh yeah, yeah.
Corporations that could control the narrative, they're no longer controlling the narrative. So that is a disruption of the power structure. So, but I know what you mean. It seems kind of like there's a way in which it feels a little icky to focus so much on power. But
yeah, I mean, it leads me to the inversion of power on the cross as a Christian. That's kind of where that conversation always seems to land for me. And I don't know, even though there are things I like about the critiques coming from the right in some ways. So, yeah, other thoughts? I'm trying to look at some comments here. There's a lot of comments flowing.
And so if you listen to my rough draft for Sunday, Jesus scrambles this because, of course, I'm not going to repeat the sermon. I guess I could pull up the slides. I just finished them. It's Transfiguration Sunday where Jesus shines like the sun. But then he asks his disciples, who do people say that I am? And they're all excited because Jesus has this power, and they have ideas about how he should use this power to create the world that they were all expecting. And Peter declares him to be God's Messiah. And Jesus treads very carefully around that title because he completely understands that these titles have expectation in terms of use of power, and the sort of power that Jesus is about to employ is in fact going to change the world. That's the point of Tom Holland's book Dominion. There's the group that assembled in the UK. There's Tayo's new girlfriend. and in the rough draft, I talk about some of these issues. So I did go, and let's see, oh no, that's not what I want. Now
Okay. Had to take a picture for that class trip too.
Let me mute this.
Quite.
Now, I had some time, and my hotel was right near this Hyde Park and Kensington Park, and then there's another park, and so I'm walking around and I'm seeing the sights, and I just see on the map Prince Albert Monument, and I thought, oh, I'll go see that. I was not in any way prepared for what I would face with Prince Albert's monument. My goodness, this is a monument. Now, it's on the four corners. It has the dominions. Here's of Prince Albert. Here's America, that was devoted to, the continent. So there's a bison, and you have these gods that are at the four corners, and there is in fact a gold leaf fence that is around it. There's Prince Albert in gold. And if you look up Prince Albert, now I'm really hoping that in the comments, some of you who know more, I really need a good book about the Victorian era and sort of the British Empire at its peak. But you can see on the statue, there's these other godlike figures. There are angels away up on top. The cross is on the very top. Albert is sort of in this chapel. Here is Africa. That's sort of the Africa corner, and it has Africa down there. So you have the Sphinx, and again, it's showing Albert's dominion and the dominion of the British. There's Prince Albert Hall over there where they have events, and of course, those of you who live in the UK will know way more about this than I do. And I see there's the fence that's all wrapped around, and they were just scattered showers. It's a good thing I had an umbrella because it really came down. And here is the monument that is next to that is symbolizing Asia, and so his dominion is over Asia and America and Africa and Europe, and there is Prince Albert in his golden glory. And of course, you have all these figures down below, and you have these figures above. I mean, this is a monument. You're hard pressed to imagine a bigger, more beautiful monument. And what was really cool was that after the rain, I saw somebody getting really excited, and I noticed that, see, there's my umbrella, and it was just stopped raining. There's a beautiful rainbow. Come on, Vanderclay, get the camera all set. See, the rain's coming down, and if you get right to the correct angle, come on, where is it? Where is it? Show me the rainbow. Show me the rainbow. There it is. You can't see the rainbow quite yet, but yeah, it's a good look at the monument. Well, and this is, of course, lion culture. What do I mean by that? They are unapologetic about their culture. They are unapologetic about their power. They are unapologetic about their place in the world. And the conversation, and now lion culture fell. There's the rainbow. You can see it. You can see it right over there. Lion culture fell, and fox culture took its place. Now, I was struck by the fact that, these representations, like this is the representation of Europe, that the one of Africa and Asia and maybe America would be judged as there. Now you can really see the rainbow. Would be maybe judged as politically incorrect today. But lion culture is confident. The speech by Kemi, there it is. It's a nice shot. The speech by Kemi, and by Philippa Stroud, it's confident. We know the world. We understand it. Power is given to us by God. I've been reading this really fun book on the unification of Germany and Bismarck. And, now they were confident. Now, were they always right? No. Did they subjugate a lot of people? Yes. Was it often culture at the edge of a sword? Yes. Part of what's going on in American culture now is that American power was sort of often lion wrapped in fox clothing. And now with Trump, it's basically, we're taking off the fox clothing. I just saw that interchange that he had with Zelensky. And it's like, you should be, when you come into this house, you should be more thankful for the billions of dollars we've given you. That's lion culture. That's not fox culture. And so a lot of people are really excited about lion culture because it's there. And within the church, we've had a broad conversation about lion culture. And in many ways, if you look at, let's say, before the Second World War, WASP, American consensus, anti-Catholic, anti-Semitic often, racist in terms of African Americans, but you had a hierarchy. And, what's interesting today is that in many ways, much of those things have been resolved. Donald Trump has women in his cabinet. Donald Trump has people of other faiths in their cabinet, in his cabinet. And Doug Wilson, who's been, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing for Trump all along, Christian nationalism, all of these things, now suddenly, very interesting little article.
Kash Patel is sworn in with his hand on the Bhagavad Gita. In 2006, Keith Ellison was sworn in as a member of Congress using a copy of the Quran. J.D. Vance was sworn in with a copy of his family's Kentucky Bible. Now, if you look at that array, what happens when you zoom out? Now, Christian nationalism will not be an actual thing until the library and the librarians are Christian. That end goal is not achieved if the Bible is merely resting upon one of the shelves. Sworn in as the newest director of the FBI. And I'm really grateful that he did this because it gives us an opportunity to talk about some important stuff. Kudos first. Now, I have every reason to believe that Kash Patel...
So wanting to be a lion, but still having to make some fox moves. And it's really interesting watching Douglas Wilson sort of have to deal with the nuance here, because of course he is, and this isn't unrelated to his posture on this, but he's a post-millennial, which means that, and so he'll make the point that, Daniel had to sort of use fox moves as a servant of the Persian Empire, and a servant of the Babylonian Empire. So now suddenly things are getting a little complicated because, it has a structure, and I'll put the link below if you care to listen to Doug Wilson on this. And then Gavin Ortland with his video today.
I was very disturbed watching President Trump's recent sharing on social media of a video about Trump Gaza. I'm not going to show it here. I'll show you a portion of it where you can see some of the golden Trump statues. I don't even know where to begin.
Because I was playing on Twitter. It was Annie Crawford that had posted this on Twitter, and it just, the bunny, oh, I ate the bunny. Sing the bunny song, says Mr. Nezer. Because, of course, anybody who has grown up with a Bible storybook remembers the book of Daniel chapter 3, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or Rakshak and Benny, who refused to sing the bunny song, get thrown into the vat of fire. And so you've got Trump's statue, you've got Andrew Tate, and it's like, oh. And of course, this is politics as normal. Once you win against the great enemy, there's another winner that has to be that has to be dealt with, even if he's if he's your guy. And well, because the lion fox dynamic isn't going anywhere. And so when Trump and Vance can basically tell Zelensky, hey, wait a minute, buddy, we're not going to wear fox clothing anymore. You'll be able to hold off the Russians. Well, maybe you'll get some help from those Europeans, but they're sort of a Europe's struggling now, and if you want a lot, well, America's the place that's going to get it for you. So it'd be a shame if something happened to all those minerals you've got there. And of course, people are like, well, I thought the American government should be like Jesus. And this is where all the narratives come together. And the people who are against the Christian nationalists expected that, the American government would be like Jesus. And it's like, well, don't you expect American internationalism to be Jesus-like? And how is that so different from the others? And which side of Jesus? Because, of course, when you get to the book of Revelation, Jesus is lamb and lion. He fills up the universe. So these are, well, part of, so, I'm just amazed at these Victorian statues of lion country. And then when you get to, and then when you get to, I was just going there to see Buckingham Palace, and again, I saw on the map that, there's a Victoria monument, and I saw a Victoria monument in front of the Kensington Palace, and then it's like, this is even bigger than Prince Albert's monument. So here we have West Africa, and there's South Africa, and there's East, and that gate over to the right over here, that's the Canada gate. The Canadians get their gate. And now we don't have Victoria at the top, but let's see, how did I do this? You don't have Victoria at the top, but you've got Victoria there. You've got angels. And here, of course, at the four corners, you have lions. And there's Buckingham Palace, of course. Who's doing the camera work here? Where was Seabax when I needed him? So here you have angels on top. You don't have a cross on top. You've got angels, but you've got, but you've got ships, of course, because British is a naval power, and then you've got the gods, and you've sort of got the sea down here below. There's more lions. These Victorians, then you have all of the prophylicity, and it's just interesting how everybody sort of naturally stands up there, poses, puts their arms up. More lions. This is lion culture. Now, I'm going around and I'm looking at all of these monuments, and of course there are so many monuments to the First World War around. Now, you've got a little cross up here, but notice that the top of the monument is empty. You don't have angels or the cross or all of that gold up there in Victoria, where you've sort of got this full world, but it's like the heavens are silent at the loss of the Tommies and the glory of God. So, God isn't gone, but the cross is small, and the monuments say a lot. And of course, World War I, the end of World War I, that's the empire is already on its way down, and by the Second World War, Britain is not what it was. And of course, after the Second World War, with the Suez event, where Gammer wants to take the Suez Canal, Hammer? I don't remember. But Egypt is going to take the Suez Canal and own it, and Britain and France send their troops to take it back. You know, we're still lions. And Roosevelt picks up the phone and says, "Stop it now." And of course, Britain and France have to sort of pull back. One lion, thank you, and y'all are foxes now. So, and how this is going to play out in terms of politics and dollars and cents, and politics is now and religion is always, and the lordship of Christ, because of course when Christians say Jesus is Lord, they're thinking of Jesus as lion. But Jesus' way of conquering is different. And you got to be careful with fox, of course, because Herod was the fox. And the eagles were the Romans. There was lion culture. That was eagle culture. Eagles are sort of lions of the sky. So there's a lot going on here. Of course, Jonathan Peugeot with his Antichrist in his video about Ark. A lot going on here. So that this will be a theme I continue to sort of develop as we go.